Please welcome Benny and Bee. Woo!
That's that I'll shift over myself. That does. Good. Hi, how's everyone doing this morning? Afternoon? Good? Morning. To me, it's morning. This works. This works for me. Okay, well, before I almost died there, that was a wonderful introduction. So, how are we doing this afternoon? Good? Yes. So this is day 2 of this conference, right? Okay, so you guys are probably tired. However, I want to introduce myself again. Hi, my name is Chelazon Leroux, which is my government name. And my drag name is Chelazon Leroux, or some of you know me as Auntie. I like to start out by saying I come from Buffalo River Dene Nation. Anyone else here from there or that area? Huh? You still there? Okay. You didn't stay because you didn't chalk it up with anyone. Because you know what? You never know. We could be related. We could, hey, all my relations. I don't like to take myself too seriously with public speaking. I've done a lot of conferences these last years since having done social media and kind of Drag Race. I find that a lot of conferences become very stiff and boring, so I'm going to try to use as much entertainment for you as possible. And I also believe that once you remove laughter, you remove community. So I remember this because I was in a conference in Vancouver, and they were trying to be all like serious and pay attention. And then I was with my, well, I call her my auntie. Her name's Gail. She's a very trans woman, but she was laughing the whole time because she was bored. And I was like, you know what, you gotta have fun. So then, you know, you let them go. It's not as crazy. Anyways, hi, Chelazon Leroux, or Auntie. Does anyone know that? Social media name? Auntie, Chelazon. Yes. Okay. So I grew up in Saskatchewan, born and raised. And whenever I say that to people that are not from here, they're like, what's that? They're like, I think I had Saskatchewan once. Had to go to the hospital for it. You forgot to add the baking powder, that's why. You mixed it too hard, you know? You hit it with that wooden spoon, first gets flat. Anyways. I grew up all over Saskatchewan, different reserves. I lived in, like, Buffalo, which is not a reserve, but I don't know why I said that. But it was like all over. Southern Saskatchewan, Northern Saskatchewan, Fond du Lac, Dillon. And I think a lot of people forget that I grew up in these areas. And they see the work I've done and they forget that this is my home. So I'm very grateful to be brought back here. So I want to say thank you to the organization. Please give a round of applause. And it's funny because this is where I get the most nervous for coming back to Saskatchewan and telling my story, because I feel like whenever I go somewhere else, it's like, well, I won't see them again, but it's fine, I can leave the story with them, but I need to, in a lot of my public speaking, it depends on the audience I'm working with, and a lot of time it's youth, so I tend to gloss over the really hard realities of my upbringing, and so with your permission, and just forewarning, I'm in my public speaking. I tend to get rid of that, but I want to share the truth with you today, just so you're emotionally prepared. So I grew up all over Saskatchewan. Both my parents are educators. My father is a residential school survivor, and my mom was not, but her grandmother went to day school. So intergenerational trauma is something that has impacted me as well. And I know a lot of people in this room have direct experiences and or secondhand experiences. A lot of ways that's manifested in my life or has shown up was, I feel, at first, misunderstanding. When I was a little kid, I was very flamboyant and very out there and very open, very creative. And I think I already knew who I was when I was born. And I take it back to this lesson my dad always taught me, which is that Creator, children are closest to Creator. They're so innocent and pure, and they just react out of innocence. And so I felt that I was like being authentic, but unfortunately the world wasn't so kind to me back then in Saskatchewan in the 2000s. I forgot to say I was born in 1999, so I'm still kind of young, 25 years old. And every time I explain this and I say I'm an auntie, a lot of non-Indigenous people are like, how can you be my auntie? I'm like, clearly you're not Native. You can have an auntie that's 3 years old. Old people get lonely too. Just listener, you know? Yeah, so back to my point. I was born in 1999. I felt very outcast in the world. It wasn't very acceptable, and I didn't even have the language to describe Two-Spirit yet. Show of hands. Does anyone heard that word before? Two-Spirit? Half of them. Do you have any kind of definitions or ideas? There's no wrong answers. Everyone don't speak at once. You guys are acting like I'm a principal about to like attack you or something. Like it's fine, we're chill. Anyways, my understanding of Two-Spirit, it is an English word that was coined in 1990 in Winnipeg at a lesbian and gay Indigenous conference by an elder Meadow Lake. So a lot of different nations across Canada have this understanding, and I don't even know I'm explaining it because you guys already know, but a lot of different communities have understanding of what would be referred to as Two-Spirit in different native languages. And I think people describe it as a third gender, but I kind of find it that Two-Spirit is a bridge in between different communities. So that's always like the masculine and feminine, Indigenous and non-Indigenous. So really we're just really soupy and in everyone's business. You just can't mind their own, you know? So I'm just going through Facebook during work hours. Facebook can go. But, so that was my understanding of the word Two-Spirit, but I didn't hear that early on. It's, all I knew was like the word gay. Because I was told I was that at like 5 years old, but I didn't know what that meant. So when you're born, you don't know the difference between yourself and other people, and it's not until the world tells you who you are that you figure it out. So I always like to tell the story when I found out I was Indigenous. So I was living in Saskatoon, I was like grade 2 or 3, and they were talking about Thanksgiving, and both my parents being educators, you know, they're very strict on history. So this was at a Roman Catholic school, and the teacher was like, Thanksgiving is when the natives and the white people have dinner. I was like, I wanted to be there, that sounded really nice. And I thought that was cool, so I went home and my parents were like, what did you learn? I said, Thanksgiving's when the natives and the white people had dinner. And my dad got really mad. And he said, my boy, that's not the truth. You're Dene First Nations, you're Indigenous, it's not the true history. I was very excited to learn that. I go back to school the next day and I say, hey guys, guess what? I'm Indigenous. And the first response I hear from a boy is, we should play Cowboys and Indians. So I scalped him. Right on. Encouraging violence, not at this conference. So that, you know, that little, I'm not gonna swear. I would, but there's consent. I have to act right, it's part of the contract. We can talk later. So I found out it was Dene First Nations. Wait, actually, what different nations do we have in the audience here? Shout it out. Cree? Okay, Cree. Any other nations? Any other Denis here? Okay, I'm outnumbered. You know historically we're enemies, right? Dene and Cree did not get along. We fought all the time, so you're going to be squaring up outside there. Gonna be settling those old scores. But here's something I never admit, is that I'm both like half Dene and Cree by blood, so I always have an internal war going on. You know, there's a phrase, they're like, there's two wolves inside of you. One of them's gay, the other has mental health issues. It's my two spirits. Yeah. So I did not know, you're given these labels, these identities, so it's both Dene, First Nations, and gay, but you're a young kid, you don't know where you belong. Speaking of, grew up all over, I didn't even live on a reserve until I was 11 years old. So, you know that TV show, The Young and the Restless? I was young and the restless. It's pretty hard. Oh, and that's something that led to imposter syndrome. So does everyone know what that means? You're like, you know you're native, but people tell you you're not really native. They're like, you don't look native. So I had to pull out my bow and arrow and prove them wrong. And my buck speed too. Yeah. Actually, no, I was northern, or more later than that. That was you guys, thanks. All warm and stuff. Anyways, I guess I tripped a lot. But, where was I at? Two-spirit, indigenous, Dene, imposter syndrome. So I was bullied because I was the white-looking kid on the reserve. And then in the city, when I lived there, every time I said I was native, it was like, you don't look native. So I never really felt like I fit in, even in my cultural communities. And so I didn't know where to belong. I was pushed to the edges of society, and I shut down. I hid a lot of myself and a lot of my authenticity because I didn't feel like I could be myself in the world, and I didn't know where I fit in. And then a few years pass, parents separate, which is fun for mental health when you're turning 13 years old. And unfortunately, as a result of these family separations, I lived in a household of alcoholism. So that was a harsh reality. And I was very confused, I think, as a teenager, because I didn't know why these things were happening, or I didn't know why life had to be that way. Thankfully, I had a lot of education on the history and like through my own family's conversations about residential school that I could piece things together actually. That child rearing and home learning starts as early as like 3 or 4 years old, so it makes sense that a lot of our community has some traumas with that. And it was really hard, I'm not gonna lie. I like to joke about these things, but I find that all that humor comes from a place of harshness. I think we use humor as a way to heal ourselves from the harsh realities of being native. And it's exhausting. It's tiring being always fighting to exist. And I had gone through periods of depression as well, and I didn't feel like I wanted to be around anymore, to put it lightly. My mom always told me that there must be a reason, that there has to be some purpose to this, and that I would be able to take those experiences and help other people relate. Because I don't want to like hide those experiences from anyone. I think that's what makes me human. I think it's what connects us in a really harsh way. As you can tell, I'm getting nervous because it's bringing up those feelings. But there's a lot of things throughout my life that kept me going. My aunties, to name some, could we get a round of applause for my aunties in the room? At a time where I felt like I didn't fit in, the aunties were always there to be like, I still love you no matter what. So when I created this character of Auntie as a comedic thing, I always based it off of these women who've gone through really hard things but still have the ability to love and to laugh. So please give another round of applause for all the women. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much it like helps community, and I know for a lot of Two-Spirit people, we always connect with our aunties and the women are in our lives because they've always made us feel safe. And I always felt like I had a place with them. And in school too. I found myself. So in high school, in harsh realities of living in a household that wasn't healthy, I got to escape for 7-8 hours a day and do things I wanted to, like drama. Has anyone here taken drama? Theater? I recommend it. It's helpful. It's good. You don't get nervous. A lot of you guys are just real shy. So you sitting there, you know, my favorite thing is having the sleeves up to your mouth. It's like real shy dress girl, you know? But theater really helps me come out of my shell as or that wasn't as funny as I thought it would be. That's funny. We failed, we got back up. So I took theater and I started watching RuPaul's Drag Race. No? You're like, what's that? RuPaul's Drag Race is a reality television show that's a drag competition. Funny enough, I always credit that for being my like gay awakening or like coming to terms with things, but that's not the truth. In Dillon, they have Mental Health Week, and they had different events in the night, and one of them was called Mr. Beautiful and Mrs. Handsome. Has anyone ever like seen that happen in their communities? No? So essentially it's drag. It's still like women dressing as men and men dressing as women, but it was more comedic. And I was like 9 years old, and I was like, wow, that sounds fun. I should have known. That was an early sign of what was to come. Authenticity. But drag helps me escape from these harsh realities as well. So if it wasn't at school where I can be creative at home, I was like putting on the makeup or doing the wigs. I call it like war paint. Yeah. It's like ready to fight the inner demons. So it was always like a very helpful thing for me to find like this character, Chelazon, to believe in a better future, to hope for more. So it did give me hope, and I lived through that, and honestly it brought me so much, so that like, so wild how full circle this is. I grew up in Saskatchewan, and I was like a little shy kid in the corner, and I got to follow my dreams. But let me backtrack here. Where were we at? High school. I heard the word Two-Spirit for the first time. It was a family dinner. I was in grade 12. And there was this little boy that came around and was like, are you a boy or a girl? And I said, I'm deadly. That was enough for me. But my dad said, no, he's just Two-Spirit. So I heard that word, another label to fulfill, and I didn't know what it meant. So now I'm going to go back to my historical understanding. Two-Spirit. Traditional roles included hunter and gatherer, berry picker, moose-hat candy. But just someone who's fulfilling roles in community and is very like versatile. Now I found that a lot of people think it's like a new thing, but it's something that's existed here long before any like colonialism. I always like to say Two-Spirit was here before any form of homophobia or discomfort or misunderstanding. Which is true. You can even research it. There's Two-Spirit people in DNA Navajo Nation dating back to like the 1900s. It's crazy. I've spent a lot of time on Google. Look me up. Okay. Where am I? Two-Spirit. Oh, okay. I didn't realize this would be an early sign of coming out as Two-Spirit. But in high school, grade 12, we had a smudging circle. It was with our Native Studies teacher, and we had everyone sit in a circle. And she was like, the women sit on this side, and the men sit on this side. Something inside of me said, sit right in between them. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think that was like me resisting a bit the expectations of where I was supposed to be. So I think a lot of people get uncomfortable with Two-Spirit people because it challenges colonial views of gender that have been taught so many times over and over, that you're supposed to act this way if you're a man, you're supposed to act this way if you're a woman. But I know for a fact that Two-Spirit people have always pushed those boundaries and made a lot of people uncomfortable, I find. And through talking to my other relatives, Two-Spirit relatives, I've come to understand when my friends describe it like whirlwind medicine, or seen as this thing of destruction, or I'm going to say like a forest fire. A lot of people are scared of it, a lot of people are afraid, and it's this natural force that people are terrified of, but you don't realize that destruction was necessary for new growth to come. Like, what are the mushrooms that a growth picks after a forest fire? Morale. See, they're very deadly, and it only happens because of the destruction. So, if you want to think of us two-spirit as that way, it's just bringing new ways of living, and I think that's always been our historic role because the society has changed and we have to adapt. So that was my understanding of that. Bullied a lot for it, by the way, which wasn't fun, but I'm still here. So, I'll give myself a pat on the back for that one. So the words I had at that time were like gay and two-spirit. Now I just realized it's just me. It's just like, you know, I'm part of the community. I thought I had to run so far away from home because at a time it wasn't accepted. So I ran to like Saskatoon and Edmonton and, well, now Toronto, which is, has anyone been there? No, it's expensive and loud. I love Saskatchewan sometimes. Also, Meadow Lake, I haven't been here for what, like maybe like 2 years. Now you guys have a bunch of like fast food restaurants. Burger King's new. I also saw Boston Pizza. I thought that was here for like 3 years. Okay, that's new. Walk Box, that's my favorite. They knew all the natives love food because we always drive up through here, hey? Because if you don't want to go as far as PA, you just drive 2 hours and you're here. See, I thought, you know, it's real blessing when you're sitting at home on the res and they bring back a bucket of KFC. From that one, that's, I don't know which direction it is. It's good, I still love it. Did your community ever cater with KFC? Because we did. So you know, we're better than you. Whatever you say. But that's the thing. I don't know, food, it felt, I don't know. It's like comforting. It's home. KFC. See, I get sidetracked. Natives just talking about trauma and food. You know, that's their specialty. Where was that? High school, trauma, community, indigenous. What are all the other notes here? See, I like to carry my iPad around because then it makes me look like I'm busy. And no one talks to me. So if you want to be running around the office, just have a coffee in hand and have a file folder and just start walking. No one will talk to you. They'll just say, holy, she doesn't feel busy. She has places to be and uncles to see. Community to meet. KFC to buy. You know, one of my earliest heartbreaks is, one, sitting in a casino parking lot and entertaining myself. But also sitting in a hotel and being promised KFC if they won, only to be staying up till 3 a.m. and they walk back in the door with no food. So you're just hungry and heartbroken. And that's really where my distrust began. Said these liars. They broke my treaty rates. Okay, high school, living on somewhere, Saskatoon. Okay, I'm just going. High school, moved around a bit, stayed with my mom. Then I moved up north, or Edmonton at one point, and I was 18 years old, and I got to perform for the first time in drag at Evolution Wonderland, which when I was walking down the stairs felt like Alice in Wonderland. Because I was like, I'm coming home, which was really fun because I got to discover what other LGBT2S, Q plus, I got that. Listen, we all make mistakes. I wasn't planned, I was a mistake. That was a joke, you could laugh. That's depressing. Listen, they were just listening to Cher Believe and it was good Valentine's, I guess. They really did believe in life after love. Until I was 13 and they didn't do that anymore. Listen, I'm still here. It's good, it's good. So I thought it was a bad thing to be different And I thought that I wasn't okay to be myself. And thankfully, through drag, I found that it was actually my superpower. All these things that I was criticized for, being too feminine, being too loud, being too flamboyant, was actually celebrated for the first time in this art form and the community. So it was sad that I had to go all that way just to feel accepted, but I think some of the great things that have happened over the last few years, I've started seeing a lot of communities doing their first Pride events. Which if you need a performer or someone, I'll be there. Or make fried bread or something. Teach you traditional ways. I'll do a workshop on snagging. Those are sacred proverbs. Okay, that's why we're all here. So, I didn't feel like I fit in until drag, but the thing that was lacking was still what I felt to be like not being indigenous enough, not being Dene First Nations or what that meant. So, money ran out, and I had to go live up north in Fond du Lac. Has anyone been there, have any relatives there? Damn, you guys don't get around much. Saskatoon, Edmonton, River Cree Resort Casino. That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna get married there someday. Honestly, why not the River Cree? River Cree Resort Casino. But I lived up north with my granny Flora. She taught me a lot about the history of what it is to be Dene First Nations, at least from up north. I was grateful because for the first time in my life I felt like connected some pieces of what that meant. Like through community and through dog sled teams, which I thought were a joke for the longest time. But they're real. Do you know they even made like little blankets for them? Because I loved so much that stitch beadwork. It was really cool. I saw it in a museum in Montreal. Crazy how all our artifacts are not in our communities. Those white people just took everything. Anyways, I have to go all the way out there to see something that was traditionally part of my territory. How messed up is that? We should start repatriating all those things. You can take care of it. I'll keep it in my closet, which is where I used to be. Stop feeling sad for me. My life is not a sad one. This is what I'm saying. When I speak of these traumas, I want to remind people that we are not just trauma. We are humor and we are laughter. Like, a lot of these conversations get so heavy, but I always remind myself we are artists, we are storytellers, we are comedians. And I think what I always fought for in all my works is to remind people, and this is what I get so mad about in media, is that we're always proposed as traumatized peoples. And only the last few years has it seen a shift, and I'm so grateful to have seen that. Because of social media, because of like Facebook and TikTok. Anyone do that? Yeah? Yeah? So when I was living up there, I downloaded TikTok when it was still a cringy app for teenagers. And you guys jumped on it way later because all of a sudden it was cool. But I was there first. Okay. I wasn't. But I got to see other content creators that are part of like native TikTok. That was like Kyron Potts and Sherry McKay were my two first that I saw. And I was like, maybe I can do this because I finally felt like I was native enough. Because I got my status card. You know, when that expires, I'm not native no more. I lose all my treaty rights. And anyways, I said, I'm gonna do this. So my first idea is, what is a common native experience that everyone goes through? And that is when your auntie sits at a window and talks smack about everyone walking by. You've done it. She just thinks she's good because she's on council now. She's just loose like her beadwork. If you really want to hurt someone, use that one. You're like cursing them and their ancestors. She wouldn't get married in the old days. Anyways, so I did that, and that was fun. I also did some of my earlier stuff was like showing food prices up at the like northern grocery store. It's just crazy. It's so wild. It's even going worse. Now Canadians care because it affects them too. It's true. They don't care about grocery prices now that it hurts them. Anyways, that was great. And then I decided I could not stay up there any longer. One, because I wanted to do more things and go back into the world and attempt things. And two, because I was related to everyone, so I wasn't going to be able to date. It's true. It's true. So I decided to apply for school and was going to do education, missed the deadline. Then I got to study at Edward School of Business and moved to Saskatoon. That was a wild time. I was living alone for the first time. And it was COVID. I don't want to talk about it too much because that was a depressing time, but I hated it. I couldn't focus. I couldn't pay attention. Look at me. I'm like barely paying attention right now. I'm trying my best. So it was difficult, but TikTok really popped off. You know what video it was? If a native goes to Hogwarts. Yeah. So put some medicine on the European Council. Turning, making a bottle of Betsy appear as sacred medicines. So that hit 100,000 views, and I thought that was crazy because I've never witnessed that in my life. But it was really cool because for a lot of times, I feel like when I was growing up in the community, they said you can't do everything or that. I was like, I want to be a star. They said, aim lower. Aim at the bush. Bring back a caribou lake. It's weird because they just never believed it happened and it could happen, and I realized it's because they've never seen it happen themselves. But I find the most talented people are Indigenous peoples. We're like great storytellers. I think it's our intergenerational trauma and things that say it's not possible, but some of the most famous peoples in our communities are artists. So that's my call out to every community member here is you gotta encourage the artists because there's never been a lack of talent on reserve. There's a lack of community support and resources. Yeah. So I'd like to see support for that. Please, if I had just given the opportunity of taking one drama class on reserve, that would have changed the whole trajectory of everything. But that will be a future work. Hopefully I'll get to put together a grant or something like that. Drag, TikTok. Oh, then I got to do Canada's Drag Race. Lifelong memory mine. Yeah, that was crazy because I was in my second year of university and I got to accounting and finance. I didn't want to stick around for that. And so I was going through the whole audition process. They called me and they're like, do you want to be on the show? I said, I'll think about it. And I said yes. And so I dropped out of school. So hard lesson there, if you're gonna drop out of school, make sure it's to become famous on TV. School's always gonna be there, but I won't. I was the first contestant on Canada's Drag Race to be from Saskatchewan. Usually I have a whole thing of jokes, but they don't work here. It's like, does anyone know where Saskatchewan is? You do. They're like, it's so flat you can see your ex running away for 3 days. But you still go back to him. Listen for once. Do it again. Every time you get hurt. That, natives, they're not too kind. They're real tough lessons, White people, when a kid gets themselves hurt, it's like, it's okay, it'll be fine. Natives, do it again. Learn the hard way. It's wild. I remember I was learning to tie my shoes when I was 4 years old. And I was like, Dad, I need help. He's like, I'm not always going to be here. I mean, he was right, but you need to hear that at 4. Just be kinder to your kids. You can put away the wooden spoon. Those times are gone, please. Only use that for juice. Or craft dinner. And water. Or hangover soup. So, Drag Race, Canada's Drag Race, got to be the first contestant. That was exciting because I got to talk about intergenerational trauma, what it looks like being disconnected native, because I didn't even feel resi enough. And I realized I was, over time. How does this tie to this thing? Impacts. So, prevention and support. This is the second day. What I would love to see is more support for the Two-Spirit community members. And I know a lot of people are scared to approach it or scared to even ask questions, but when you approach with love, there's a lot less confusion and fear. I find, because of a lot of colonial views, there have been some of my own Two-Spirit family members that are not here because of the abuse and because of the lack of support. So I come here as like a living proof that if you treat people right and you give them a chance and opportunity, anything's possible. Because I was sitting in the same rooms, I was, in the corner scrolling on Facebook and not paying attention. And yes, only you can hear that she's pregnant. No, it's how everyone looks. That's how you get everyone's attention. You're like, what, who? None of your business. But it is possible for all of your dreams to come true. If you just give me $5, I'll make it happen. And if you're not Indigenous and felt guilty, it will cost money. Do you guys know that during treaty assignments, $5 went to every community member and chief of council got 20? Did you know that? Yeah, fun fact. So every year we get $5 from the Canadian government. It feels so wild. You gotta shake the hand of RSMP, take a photo and smile. For $5, damn! Gotta love it. Okay, support your community. And it's as simple as just saying, hi, how are you doing, what's up? Should we go make fried bread? Community is easy and simple, and then we're here for each other, it's great. Okay, so now I'm just gonna open it up to questions about my life. You can ask me where I'm going next. No, you can't borrow $5. What? You know I'm good for it. What? On welfare? $5 and a pack of smokes. That's all I have going on to Drag Race, So maybe will happen. Okay, any questions? Don't be scared. Or do be scared, that's okay. Be terrified. As many as we're ranked.
Did you win Canada's strike?
They sent me home on episode 3. They took my treaty card, stopped me, and said, get out of here. They just used me for gas and smokes. Funniest story. Okay, so we have in our world in drag world, we have like what we call drag families. So it's just like people we adopt, in native ways. I have a drag daughter who's from 6 Nations, now living in Toronto, so we're close. But she tells me that back in the day when she was a kid, she would just sit at the gas station. Any white person coming up, she'd be like, hey, she wants cheaper gas. She would get them to pay her like $5 to use her status card. They didn't really save much, like 30 cents, but yeah, that's, gotta hustle somehow. But yeah, I got sent home 3rd. But I still did a lot. I had a good time on there. I walked in and I said, oh shit, I can't swear. Oh, it's like I can't swear, and I did. Holy damn, it's nice to hear. I wonder who paid for all this. Better not be chief and council. But no, it was kind of sugar.
So, what can parents do to support their kids when they're at a young age?
My mom, I think a lot of people, when it comes to Two-Spirit, they're just like, I just don't know how. What it was for me was just the auntie's thing that I love you no matter what. That's all it took. And not treating me any differently than other people. Because that's what showed me I belonged, or that I would be treated the same. So I think a lot of people get scared and they think of it like having to go through all these steps, but that is so simple. Just share a little love. Next question. Anyone else? Okay.
So when you talk about imposter syndrome, and what did you do to overcome that or work through that and then reclaim your culture and your identity? And what would you suggest other people do when they, are confronted with this?
I love to explain it as like, I mean, not to make light or anything, but it feels like sometimes being a foster child is that there's this like, when you're Indigenous, when you have this like blood inside of you, you're always going to feel like something is missing until you acknowledge it. So I felt that I was so far removed from community and culture. Again, like I said, I didn't grow up on reserve, so I just like, you're Dene, but you don't live on your community, so I didn't connect. But then, to be fair, even living in Dillon, I wasn't really in touch with culture either. I sat in my room and played my Nintendo DS, so that's my fault. But I realized it was the little things, that so many things are historically cultural. Like I didn't realize the adoption system on reserve, like, is just natural, and to use the word adoption is so weird because it's community members and it's family. So like to see that those pieces were there even though I didn't think that they were cultural. Or even like celebrating during the springtime up north, or doing what they call like carnival. But that historically was a time when hunters came back to the community and they would celebrate for like 3-4 days in a row. So I've been piecing little things together. Really, it started with living with my granny in Fond du Lac because she had a lot of stories. Sitting with an elder and listening to the stories is where I learned the most. A lot of people, a lot of like friends that are non-Indigenous, it's like, how do I learn? I'm like, go to a community gathering and sit with an elder for 5 minutes to an hour. The things you'll learn. I started to feel connected when I heard all stories from both sides of my family. So I was very disconnected from my mom's side until like way later, 20 years old. And in terms of reclaiming it took time, but knowing that no one's going to be able to define my nativeness, or no one's going to tell me what it is, because I know where I come from, because it's on my status card. And that tells me so much. No, it's not a status card. Being Indigenous is not a status. Being Indigenous is not a skin color. Being Indigenous, there's no one way to be Native. But I've learned that I found my own way as an individual. So reclaiming my identities was my own journey, and it's going to be different for everyone. If that's going to a sudden how coming back to culture or going back to your home community, it does so much. It actually makes me feel like I know where I belong, and no matter what, I'm going to be able to take that. So ceremony, culture, elders, community, sharing food with each other, and reviving tradition. You know, I've never like skinned a caribou before. I want to make a hike so bad. So those things, even that, like I'm still ongoing with those things because I know doing those things for myself will improve my own mental health, and I find a lot of youth actually suffer with that is because feeling like you don't belong, even if you're not too scared, you're like, I don't know where I belong, where I told I don't belong. And then I found it was coming back to culture and community that improved mental health. I think we're going to see a lot more initiative and conversation around that because we look for so many answers around mental health being medication, therapy. Therapy to me was talking with my family members and elders about my experiences. Healing to me was sitting on the land and doing ceremony and like reconnecting with my being. And that is what changed. It wasn't, I mean, therapy was helpful, talk therapy at a time, but really healing and coming back to myself was through traditional ways. So I think that needs to be talked about a lot more. Next question. Okay.
Can we take pictures of it?
Yes, we can take pictures. Okay, I have a table we can set up over here, Damien. Everyone say hi, Damien. It's my best friend and assistant.
I have another question.
Yes.
What's your TikTok?
My TikTok is at Chelazon Leroux. Yeah, it's my name, at Chelazon Leroux. I feel like I could write it somewhere, but I'll just have it like laying out there.
Where did you come up with the name?
Chelazon, I was 13 years old. I was watching RuPaul's Drag Race. There's a contestant named Meadow Lake, and I liked the last name, and I was messing around with it, and I was like, Chelazon, and then Leroux. So I guess creator gave me that one. I just thought of it, and I have it, and it's stuck ever since.
So where's your next show?
I am driving right back to Saskatoon, flying to Winnipeg, then Northern Ontario tomorrow. So I'll be in Lac Seul, yeah. I don't sleep. My great-grandmother used to say, you can rest when you're dead.
Are you going to do a show for us?
Oh my god, I didn't even dress that up, I was just told to speak. I can't do nothing! I'm not even ready. These pants are like not even fit as they can fall down. I lost weight. Living in Toronto, I got really skinny because the food's so bad. It's so basic. Oh god. But yeah, catch me. Bring me back to Meadow Lake Pride. I know there's someone here that's connected for that. They'll see me then. I'll be here. But we'll take photos and set up over here, I think, for a table. I brought t-shirts and pins for purchase. If not, we'll just take photos. Don't go all crazy. Elders first. I'll just have $5 so you can skip the line. Yeah. Fast pass. No lose, no lose. Okay, if that's all the questions, we can set up over here. I'll see you in a bit. Thank you for listening. Merci, show.